continent of Tenotra stands divided. While independent kingdoms quarrel across the central and southern mainlands, the mighty Rizal Empire seeks to dominate the northern archipelago, a vast series of islands inhabited by indigenous peoples and independent nations. One of these nations, the island country of Yakushima, stands yet unclaimed by the mighty empire. Though Yakushima has so far remained apart from Rizal, who has been busy quelling civil unrest across its dominion, the country has been home to its own fair share of internal conflict. The Warring States period of Yakushima is nearing its end as regional lords, or daimyo, strive to keep and maintain their territories. What was once a bloody civil war between the country's numerous noble clans has become something of a cold war. The surviving clan states have retreated many of their borders, but tensions between clans continue to run high. To break this equilibrium, 3 major factions emerged, each one hoping to shape Yakushima's future. The oppressive and lawful Ryoji-kan shogunate claims blood ties to the Gedo shogunate of old, a nation that was assimilated into the great Rizal Empire long ago. By taking all of Yakushima through sheer force and presence, Shogun Tenzu hopes to unify the country under the flag of the shogunate in hopes of appeasing the Rizal Empire when it one day returns to claim Yakushima as its own. The Ryoji-kan are seen by many as cruel and tyrannical, but their martial strength and orderly policies result in the lowest crime rates by far out of the Civil War's major players, making their territories the safest to inhabit. Furthermore, domineering as the shogunate may be, they adhere to a strict code of honor. Rumor has it that the Ryoji-kan shogunate is preparing itself for a great battle. The war's second major faction to emerge is the passionate Minamoto Rebellion, sworn enemy of the Ryoji-kan shogunate. The Minamoto believe that Yakushima belongs to its people, and that clans under its influence should be free to govern themselves as they see fit. Rather than assuming direct control over the country's regions, like the other factions, the Minamoto acts as a self-proclaimed spear of freedom, using its bold message to inspire loyalty within its areas of influence. Through guerrilla warfare and other similarly underhanded tactics, the Minamoto strives to uproot the shogunate's power wherever it may be. Though its mission resonates with many common folk of the land, resulting in a fighting force that far outnumbers that of the shogunate, rumors have begun circulating that the Minamoto may not be the wisest choice for warring clans to join. Violent takeovers, disregard for public safety, and foolhardy tactics have resulted in great losses for the rebellion. Politically minded citizens claim that the Minamoto's anger toward its enemies has resulted in a tendency to take tremendous risks for its cause, and to overlook the well-being of its people. The third faction to join the Civil War is the enigmatic Shinsei clan, otherwise known as the self-proclaimed New Empire. Though not much is known about its methods or ambitions, commoners have observed great prosperity under its rule, despite the faction's pacifistic tendencies. Strangely enough, though regions under the new empire's control have demilitarized substantially, they remain steadfastly loyal to their flag, and even seem to be thriving economically. Despite these strengths, many of those unaligned with this faction fear to join it for one major reason. If and when the Rizal Empire one day arrives in Yakushima to lay its claim, only to find the island nation ruled by a so-called New Empire, it is likely that Rizal will not be happy. For decades, the war between these 3 factions has been a stalemate. Occasional armed conflicts would break out, especially in response to the Minamoto's aggressive tactics, but most battles were fought with coin. Bribery, subterfuge, political espionage, these have been the weapons used by the 3 factions for quite some time. Now, however, things are changing rapidly. The Shades, shadowy monsters from a realm of infinite darkness, have begun their invasion of Yakushima. These creatures from the void began their hunt by raiding small villages, but have attacked progressively larger settlements as the civil war continues. When a mortal is consumed by a shade, their shadow is stolen, along with their soul. As the creatures acquire more souls, the shades multiply in number. To make matters worse, foul shade crystals, otherwise known as black obelisks, have emerged in major cities across the land. These gargantuan gemstones act as cursed repositories, claiming the souls of all who die within their vicinity. It is seemingly impossible for anyone to deactivate or destroy these sinister crystals, except for one group of heroes. The fourth and latest faction to join the countrywide conflict is a small yet determined force, the Freedom Fighters, or the 𝒀𝒂𝒌𝒖𝒔𝒉𝒊𝒎𝒂. This altruistic band of warriors fights not only for the freedom of its people, but for their protection and well-being. The 𝒀𝒂𝒌𝒖𝒔𝒉𝒊𝒎𝒂 defies the iron-fisted rule of the Ryojikan shogunate and disavows the violent ways of the Minamoto Rebellion. They seek to save the land from the darkness wrought by the Shades, and to bring an age of peace and unity to Yakushima. From the region of Shohei, in the capital city of Yamamoto, this faction is led by three brave heroes. Kenso, a samurai hailing from Ankoku, a small village tucked away in a secluded valley. Kenso was raised to become village guardian by a man called Fushokage Ayashi. When Kenso came of age, he was to inherit Ayashi's cursed sword, Inzen. Before Inzen was bequeathed to him, however, Kenso was betrayed. His master fled the village, leaving behind a trail of blood, as well as the enchanted sword itself. Now wielding a blade capable of shattering the black obelisks of the Shades, Kenso seeks to become the strongest warrior in Yakushima, and to exact revenge on his former master. Hitomi Chiyoko, a monk hailing from the snowy mountain of Miyoboshi. Her village, a secretive clan of monks, have passed down a prophecy for generations. Blessed be the 100th born, for their eyes shall see the way. Chiyoko was born to the 100th generation of Hitomi, and is therefore the child of prophecy. Now imagine the shock of her people when the one who shall see the way was born a blind girl. Using her profound mystical arts, Chiyoko makes up for her lack of vision by sensing the energy of her surroundings and by weaponizing mystical energy in addition to her ki. Although she was raised to respect and preserve life, she's been thrust into a world of conflict and pain. Her evil rival, Hitomi Urumeshi, believes himself to be the true child of prophecy. Filled with inner turmoil, Chiyoko seeks to find her path in the bloody war for Yakushima, and to stop Urumeshi from bringing great ruin to the land. Mochi, the self-proclaimed magical girl of Yakushima, doesn't know much about her past. She remembers being raised in a lonely tower by a man she assumes was her father, though she cannot remember the man's voice or face. The man taught her how to use her innate magical abilities, and how to access her unique transformative power. Aside from that, she only recalls fragmented memories of her isolated upbringing. Somehow, she left that tower, awakening in a mountainside forest. Her intact memories began there, as she explored the outside world and met other people for the first time. Throughout her adventure, Mochi learned more about her mysterious powers, that they originate from a phenomenon called the Dragon Soul, the crystallization of arcane power resulting from the fusion of a mortal's spirit with that of an immortal dragon long ago. With guidance from the Dragon Soul's previous wielders, Mochi strives to learn more about herself, her powers, and her past. Together, these three heroes journey across the land of Yakushima, vanquishing the evil shades and fighting to bring unity and peace to their fractured land. What kind of quest awaits our three heroes next? Find out in this exciting video series chronicling just one of the epic tales of the heroes of Yakushima. Hi, how's it going? It's been a while, hasn't it? What you just watched was a little intro narration I decided to throw together to give you a primer on my personal home D&D campaign that I've been running for a few years now. And what you are about to watch is candid gameplay from a recent session in this campaign. But before the adventure begins, I've got a few little disclaimers, things to touch base about. If you want to skip straight to the gameplay, go ahead and click the timestamp down below. Unless you're watching the live premiere of this video, in which case, get fucked, I guess. As most of you know, I've been on hiatus from the channel here for the last several months to work on my mental health. I've been going to therapy, been trying different medications, different lifestyle changes. I'll give you the full rundown someday, probably on a stream, but for now, suffice to say, big things are happening in your boy's life. It's been pretty crazy. This has led to a significant lack of content here on the channel, for which I humbly apologize. I feel absolutely terrible leaving you guys without fresh content for so long, especially the paid supporters on the channel who have generously decided to maintain their support of me, which just means the world to me. Please, by all means, lower your level of support if my content output does not meet your expectations. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. You've heard it all before. But point is, I've had to take a break from my channel, and I've also had to take a break from DMing. I took a good 7 months or so off of DMing to focus on my mental health, but recently I started feeling good enough to finally jump back into my favorite hobby, and in order to address the lack of content on my channel, I decided, why not, kill two birds with one stone as I jump back into DMing, maybe record the session and upload it here to give you guys something to watch. I actually record all of my D&D sessions just for note-taking and review purposes. So this time it was just a matter of asking my players if they were cool with our campaign being broadcast for you guys to watch, and they were totally cool with it, so here we are. I started this Japanese anime-style D&D campaign back in early 2019, so a little over 5 years ago, with my wife and my two roommates at the time, who are really good friends of mine, and we've been going ever since. We've been going off and on. This campaign's been through its fair share of breaks with my fluctuating mental health, but it started in person at my house, and we've been mostly doing it on Roll20 ever since, the roommates moved out and everything. So naturally, it's going to be a little bit weird for you guys to be dropped into the middle of an ongoing campaign. The party's level 12 by now, so you're gonna be a little lost at first, so I apologize for that. But because the session you're about to watch was a comeback session for the players as well, I did a lot of heavy recap and sort of reestablishing some things, so not only did the players need some refreshing, it'll also hopefully make it good for you guys to watch as well, so you kind of get an idea as to where things are in the campaign. Because this started as a personal, private home campaign, there's a lot of concepts and names and stuff that you'll probably notice are just copied wholesale from existing anime and video games and whatever. So if you see some familiar names and faces in this game, yeah, that's why. But that's fine. That's how a lot of D&D games end up being. A lot of DMs put in cameos and references to their favorite media, and I'm no different. In fact, the name of the campaign and the country, Yakushima, is actually named after a real Japanese island called Yakushima, which is weird. Not only that, but also because I took such a long break from DMing recently, I'm a little rusty, a little out of practice, so you're gonna see me shaking the rust off a little bit, but again, that's fine. That's all good. This is gonna be an all natural Chris the Absolute DM experience. You're going to see all the bumps and bruises along the way, all right? But yeah, despite how much I've talked to you guys about D&D and given you DM tips and advice, it's pretty crazy that you've never actually seen me DM like a full session. Not really. So here we are. And I hope you enjoy what you see. Because this is a private home campaign and not something that was created to be a video series, I do use a lot of images and music and other assets that I don't own the rights to. So I won't be monetizing this video series, at least not for a while, maybe down the line once I clean up my assets. But I did my best to stick with video game music and assets, which shouldn't really get me in any trouble on YouTube. As for art that I got off of Pinterest and Google Images, I don't want to use any artists' art without permission, so you're going to see a lot of like blurring of the screen to blur out artwork that I use. I might put links in the description to like Pinterest images so that you can maybe get an idea of what these characters look like, or I'll just cut in and give you an audio description. We'll see what happens. This is all kind of a low effort, natural, candid, just kind of thing, just to give you something to watch. So yeah, don't expect any, you know, critical role levels of production quality, but I do hope you enjoy. My sessions tend to be about 3 hours long, but for the purposes of these uploads, I'm going to be chopping my sessions down into about 1 hour chunks, just to make things a little easier for me and to make sure that you guys have a more consistent upload schedule. So yeah, I think that's about it. Are you guys ready for the adventure in Yakushima to begin? I know I am. I'll stop yapping now so we can get on with the session. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Drop a like and all that stuff, and I'll catch you guys on the Discord Server of Legends link down below. I'm Chris the Absolute DM, and I hope that you enjoy the adventures of the Jiyu no Senshi in Yakushima. Players, are you ready to begin?
Yes.
Yes.
Let it begin.
Right on. In that case, previously on Yakushima, a prideful declaration, the girl who desired change. Our heroes celebrate the successful defense of Daimyo Hachi's manor against the Minamoto Vanguard Action Squad, 3 Minamoto operatives who were specifically trained to combat the hero's unique strengths. Despite the skill and power of these invaders, and although some innocent lives were lost in the process, the party stood victorious in the end. During the group's private fireworks show, 𝒀𝒂𝒌𝒖𝒔𝒉𝒊𝒎𝒂 revealed some of her personal struggles. Although she saw the value in their fight against the enemy, and despite understanding that sacrifices are necessary, she was having a hard time adjusting to her role at the center of a deadly conflict. Her dear friends shared their own perspectives, and although there are differences between the 3 heroes of Yamamoto City, they remain unified in their mission to liberate their homeland from the chaotic Minamoto Rebellion, the oppressive Ryojikan Shogunate, and the shadowy forces of darkness that threaten all living things. Unseen to the party, 2 other people were wrestling with inner conflicts of their own. 𝒀𝒂's friend Yoroi, and Kenso's childhood rival, Kata. The 2 briefly conversed, learning a key difference between the 2. While Yoroi seemed unable to act on his feelings, Kata showed a fiery resolve that would soon erupt into a great inferno. The following morning, Kenso made a public declaration in the city square that the Jiyu no Senshi would dedicate their hearts in their continued fight against their enemies, and that every life sacrificed to this cause would not be in vain. His speech concluded with the execution of the Minamoto Vanguard Action Squad's leader, and he was met with thunderous applause from the wounded denizens of Yamamoto City. Meanwhile, Kenso's childhood friend, Usagi Kida, sought out Mochi and 𝒀𝒂𝒌𝒖𝒔𝒉𝒊𝒎𝒂 for advice. Not only did Kida feel compelled to grow stronger so that she could join the party's efforts, but she also harbored heavy feelings for her childhood friends. While she desired change in herself, she also longed for the days before Kenso left home. before the world got so much bigger and scarier. Mochi and 𝒀𝒂𝒌𝒖𔔉 consoled her, but also challenged her, giving her much to think about. When the party returned to Hachi's manor to plan for their next adventure, Kenso was met by Kata, who had resolved to finally tell Kenso everything that weighed on his soul since their early years. Kata bared his wounded heart, revealing his own inferiority complex and the pain that Kenso had inadvertently caused him throughout their adolescence. Kata refused to dwell on the past, however, for in the battle against the Minamoto, Kata had discovered the true source of his power: his pride. Refusing to compare himself to Kenso any longer, Kata charged Kenso and the two clashed. Their battle raged across the city, ending with Kata's body broken on the city docks. When Kida caught up to the two boys in her life, the three shared a heartwarming moment. Kata promised to protect Kida, and Kida promised to create a home in Onkoku Village for the three to return to once the fighting was over. Lastly, the two boys promised Kida not to die. Confident that Kenso heard every word of his prideful declaration, Kata took Kida back to Onkoku Village. Now, as Kenso recuperates in Hachi's manor, the three make their final preparations before setting out once again on their adventure across Yakushima. We open today's session in the bustling city of Yamamoto. Previously known as Yogosu City, this oceanside port settlement was once known for its seedy underbelly, a crime hub for Yakuza and common thug alike, despite the oppressive regime of the Ryojikan shogunate that once ruled this region. However, after an attempted takeover by the Minamoto Rebellion was interrupted by the sudden invasion of the shadowy monsters called Shades, our three heroes saved the humble city and took it over as its leaders. They elected their friend Shohei Hachi, an underground info broker, as the new regional lord, and vowed to turn this city into a beacon of hope for those embittered by the Civil War's primary factions. And so the Jiuno Senshi was formed, otherwise known as the Freedom Fighters, a Civil War faction dedicated to protecting its people and honoring the free will of its followers. Yamamoto City had been going through a reform over the past few months since that fateful day. Much of the city is still being rebuilt, and there is still a somber air of mourning for those that have been lost in recent times. Despite that, however, the altruistic policies put in place by the new government has given something to the people of Yamamoto City that they haven't had in a very long time: hope. Beyond the bustling commercial district, past our favorite sushi restaurant, the Zangetsu, beyond the claustrophobic residential district and near the busy docks of the city, there stands a small castle resting atop a stone foundation overlooking the ocean to the south. This castle, surrounded by ornate houses and a low stone wall, is the estate of Daimyo Shohei Hachi, and the current base of operations for our three heroes. Onkoku Kenso, Hitomi 𝒀𝒂𝒌𝒖𔔉𝒂, and the magical girl Mochi are currently sitting in a small meeting room within Hachi's castle. There is a low, square table between the three of you. You're all in the process of consolidating your thoughts, planning your next moves, when you hear a knock on the room's sliding door. Pum, pum, pum. And you hear a voice call through it. Voice says, "A message for the three heroes! A moment of your time, please!"
Sure, what's up?
Sliding door opens. An attendant of Hachi, Daimyo Hachi's, enters the room, dressed in just sort of very plain sort of kimono. He enters the room to see 𝒀𝒂𝒌𝒖𝒔𝒉𝒊𝒎𝒂 and Mochi sort of sitting in their own fashion, while Kenso is sitting wrapped up in a few bandages from his tussle with Kata. Kenso, you did have a long rest. I'll say you just had a short rest after that. I'll say it took half your hit dice to get back to full. So go ahead and subtract those as you've been sort of recuperating with Cheoko's help. Perhaps being chastised by the girls for how reckless you were. You tore up a lot of the city in your little clash.
Oops.
Oopsie! The attendant bows deeply and respectfully to you three and says, pardon my interruption, heroes, but I have a message for each of you. Miss Mochi, the materials that you requested at the Magic College are ready to be picked up.
Thank you. I'm happy to hear that.
You recall that a few days ago, when you had first arrived in Yamamoto City, you made a request to compile some magical research, some documents for your continued study while on the road. Sounds like that stuff is ready. The attendant says, if you have time before departing, I recommend making a quick stop at the college to gather the supplies. We could actually arrange for a transport for you.
What kind of transport? A horse?
His lordship's litter.
Oh.
Those, like, carts that, you know, the hook guys, hut, yeah, carry you on, yeah.
Oh, yes, that would be quite perfect. Thank you.
Of course.
Something but the best for a hero.
Naturally. Mr. Kenso, I was told that a Miss Samui Ane is requesting a meeting with you in regards to your sword. They wouldn't tell me anything beyond that, seeing as how you... Oh, please wait, sir! He kind of... Oh, you seem to be in no shape to walk. We could transport the three of you.
I still have legs. What do you mean?
If Master Kenso would prefer it, then by all means.
All right, see you.
Very good. All right, Kenso breaks away.
Yep.
I do.
Sword thing's very important.
Yes.
Do they need me there too?
You, Miss Chiyoko, I was told that a friend of yours would like to meet you by the docks. I believe it was that Riverman fellow? The one you fought in the tournament?
Her eyes go wide and she looks down and blushes and like, I can walk myself.
Are you sure? There's plenty of room in the litter.
I'm faster than that.
Oh, very well. Yeah, he really wants to give you guys a ride in the litter in his lordship's limousine. Fine. You run out the door.
Yeah.
You pass Kenso.
Bye, Tetsuo.
Bye.
Oh, tell your sword I said hi.
He can hear you and talk to you, I'm pretty sure.
Wait, I thought you were going to get the sword.
No, I haven't.
Oh, never
You
mind.
wanted to talk to me about him.
Oh, never mind. Oh, well, hi.
Hey! Kenso's enchanted sword, Inzen's voice echoes in your head, Chiyoko, as you leave its telepathy range. It's a recent development that you guys can actually overhear Kenso's sword now. And as you guys know, the reason why you can surmise Kenso's on his way over is because he recently made the decision to modify Inzen by applying ancient rune magic to its blade, with the intent of unlocking Inzen's full power despite Kenso not having received the right of inheritance from their former master. Kenso, you do remember that you used Inzen's new rune powers to great effect in the battle against the Minamoto Vanguard Action Squad, but you do remember that Inzen strained under the new power. He was not having an easy time adjusting to it. So you surmise that most likely, yeah, Ane is summoning you for a checkup. Fair enough. Chiyoko, you're on your way over to the docks. You recall that you had recently asked Yoroi for assistance in learning his unique technique of key manipulation, which allows him to erase his presence. The only thing that lets someone truly hide from you with your mystic senses. And you were hoping that he could teach you that technique, and that it would get you one step closer to neutralizing the threat that is your banished relative, Urameshi. So perhaps that's what this is about. And then you head your way over to the docks. Mochi, you alone are escorted out of Hachi's castle. As you pass through some of the more common areas, some of the other castle attendants are kind of scratching their heads at the 2 of 3 heroes that just ran past them. And then Hachi himself, the man of the hour, stumbles out wearing his kind of disheveled robe of a kimono, practically. He's not drunk off his ass this morning, which is a surprise, but he does have a bottle of booze. He's sipping. He's showing moderation this time. Well, what time is it right now? It's probably around 11 a.m. noon. You guys had a busy morning. As Hachi sees the 2 of you, Mochi and this attendant, Hachi starts yelling at the guy next to you. He's like, hey, what are you doing? I told you to give them all a ride in my litter. I wanted them to have the best. And then the guy, oh, I'm sorry, my lord. Kenso and Shoko, they insisted. Yeah, that tracks, says Hachi. All right, well, make sure you say bye before you head out, Moch. Before you leave on your adventure, I mean. Yeah, good.
Oh, trust me, I will.
Be safe. And he gets back to his lordly duties. Mochi, you are escorted out into the castle courtyard, where, this ornate royal personal carriage that you've seen Hachi hang out in from time to time, but it's empty. The door is open, and the attendant says, "Please, right this way. Have a seat." And he gestures for you to get inside.
More room for me.
That's true. This litter could hold 4 people feasibly if you all like sit on your knees, Japanese style. But since it's just you can just sprawl out. You've got the limo all to yourself. It's got a nice velvety interior. No seats, just sort of, Japanese floor cushions. The walls are sort of latticed with curtains drawn, so you can open it up and look out the windows at the common folk. The exterior of this litter is made of a nice lacquered wood, black with like gold trim. Very nice. You think that Hachi
takes off her sandals and puts her feet out the window.
Sweet.
Rolls out.
Brilliant. As you do that, 8 servants flank the front and back of the litter. Looked like 8 people were ready to carry the 3 of you, but now it's just 1, so you have a whole entourage of these guys. One look around at them, and you can tell that these guys are a little rough around the edges. They're probably former Yakuza thugs that Hachi hired when he became daimyo from his old line of work. But once you're ready, they hoist up the litter. It's a little rocky, a little shaky. These guys are not the most graceful, but they and they start hutting you out the courtyard into the city streets. And one of the guys breaks away from the railing and kind of like peeks up at you through the window and says, "Where were you going again, boss?"
It's just my like nasty feet in his face.
I'm
I'm going to the magical school.
Right away, miss. Hut. Right on. You're carried through town. Eventually, you make it to the more populated areas of town. You head through some of the shopping areas, some of the residential areas, and people are definitely looking at this litter. They're used to a royal figure sitting inside, but this time they just see stinky feet dangling out the window. You hear some murmurs from outside. You gonna do anything different or keep vibing?
I'm gonna peek my head out and wave to the people.
As you peek your head out and wave, you get, it's Magical Mochi of the 3 heroes, yeah, woo! And you start getting cheers, and people start going, wait,
where's the Katana no Kage and Can't See Me Chi-Chi? Yeah, Joko's my favorite, yeah! And then...
Okay. Rude.
Do you respond in any way, or just let them do their thing?
Never mind them. They're on their own important missions.
Oh, they're on important missions. All right. Well, hey, we got to see Miss Mochi. Miss Mochi, do magic for us. Yeah, use some magic. Woo!
Go back to...
I just do some little like parlor tricks, like some little like sparkles coming out. Bing, 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 bing.
Prestidigitation, just... pss, 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 pss.
Yes.
Yeah, woo!
They love it. Kids, it's very Gandalf fireworks moment where the kids like are behind you like, yay! Wonderful. Well, since it's you, let's just carry through and handle Mochi at the college first. You arrive at the magical college after a few minutes trip. The exterior looks similar to a large dojo or maybe a temple, featuring an ornate roof and a formal exterior. Once inside the magic school, however, you are greeted by the sight of several tables and desks where students and tutors alike have their faces buried in papers, scrolls, tomes, and other magical materials. You walk past some of the workstations and you catch one pair of researchers drawing what appears to be some kind of transmutation circle of sorts on a piece of parchment. They've got a few samples of metals on hand. Why don't you make me an Arcana check, actually? It's a good time for that, eh?
Okay.
12. Not bad. You don't know exactly what they're doing. Seems like they're perhaps trying to elicit some kind of reaction out of these metal ores by placing them on the circle and then casting something, but you are not learned enough yet to figure it out. Elsewhere, an older fellow is mixing several strange ingredients into a heated flask, perhaps attempting to concoct some kind of alchemical potion. You get a few looks of awe and respect from the students, but for the most part, the people here are the intellectual type. They're not letting their excitement get the better of them. They're just like, oh, Miss Mochi, hello, welcome. And they get back to work, their studies. As you enter some of the back rooms, you actually run into a familiar face. Miss Usagi Kida, Kenso's childhood friend. You saw her like an hour ago during the incident. As you round a corner, she rounds the corner at the same time, and you guys bump into each other, and she's holding a big armful of scrolls, actually. As she stumbles, she almost drops her scrolls, which would, of course, lead to the two of you kneeling down to pick them up. But she manages to hold on to them. And she stands up straight, without much of a scene. And she smiles at you and gives you a bow. Her friend and guardian, Kata, who was beaten to a bloody pulp less than an hour ago, is nowhere to be seen. But she bows and says, "Oh, hello, Miss Mochi. I was just picking up a few things before heading home with Kato-kun."
Oh, you're picking up some scrolls?
Yeah. Roll one more Arcana check for me. As she fixes up her scrolls, you may recognize a thing or two. Darn. You do know that you can tell just by looking at them that these scrolls are, they contain formulas on just understanding the basics of channeling magic and casting spells. You recall that she asked you for a good word, but you can't really recognize anything specific on these scrolls. But she says, "Oh yeah, these are just some things to help teach me just the basics, nothing crazy. When I asked Headmaster Atsushi what spells I should start with, he told me that
you would likely recommend something called Firebolt.
He knows that I love some fire.
She kind of chuckles a little and says, I'm a bit embarrassed to admit it, but fire's a bit scary to me, so the headmaster instead suggested this one, as well as a few others. And she holds up one scroll. She kind of unfurls it a little bit. You don't recognize the diagrams on it. But she says, I think he called it Ray of Frost. It sounds interesting.
Ray of Frost? Maybe Chill Touch? I don't know.
No, I'm pretty sure it was Ray of Frost.
Well, I'm not really familiar with that one. Maybe I
It's
can
not
learn a thing
fire,
or two
so-
from you, Kita. What?
It's not fire, so I don't know.
Frost? What the fuck is that? Roll to know what Frost even is. No, she says, you would teach me yourself?
Of course I would.
She smiles and says, that would be great. I have to head back to the village now, so maybe next time you come visit.
Of course. I'm proud of you, Kita.
She blushes a little. She says, I must admit that I'm a little nervous about learning magic. It all seems rather difficult and overwhelming. But you seemed so confident that I could do it, so I have to give it a try.
Confidence is the key to success.
She blushes and says, thank you for believing in me, that I can change, Mochi-san. She bows and trots off, and then she stops, turns, and says, until next we meet! And she bows again.
I bow back.
And she runs off. To jump cut to Kata, wrapped up in a comically large number of bandages in the Yamamoto City Hospital. Yeah, exactly, yeah, that. With your old friend Ken whipping up some medicine and being like, how the fuck did you get this messed up? Oh yeah, that makes sense. He lacks restraint. When you enter the back offices of the Magic College, you see two figures sitting across from each other over a desk. One is the acting headmaster of the Yamamoto College of Magic, Atsushi Yamane. He's older than you, but still rather young for someone in his position, appearing somewhere in his mid to late 20s. He has a nice formal haircut, top knot. He wears simple yet proper garb, including a Haori overcoat, and of course a pair of thick, round glasses. Something of a rarity in this neck of the world. Across from Atsushi sits another ally of yours, Kana Jiro, whose picture I don't have... oh, no, I do. The paintbrush-wielding magic user who is able to bring their ink paintings to life with magic. You recently went on an adventure with this person and their companion, Toma, which resulted in the two of them joining you here in the city. Jiro is also the one who was able to crack into the ancient teleportation circle network that's spread across the country, allowing you instantaneous travel to distant reaches of Yakushima. Jiro's own teleportation circle now sits in the basement of Hachi's castle, ready for you to jump into. When the two of them notice your arrival, they both give you a shallow head bow, and Atsushi addresses you. He says, hello, Miss Mochi. I'm glad you're here. I have some things for you. Just as you asked. He gets up and he trots over to the end of the room, reaches for this large wooden crate containing a big stack of many scrolls and loose parchments. And he puts it on the desk in front of you. As requested, here are all the texts that I was able to gather. I'm sorry I couldn't provide you with more ample materials, but this should... He's then interrupted by Jiro's chuckling. Jiro says, you are so modest, Atsushi-san. Jiro looks at you, Mochi, and says, Headmaster Atsushi was able to copy all of those texts from existing materials in only 3 days. He certainly lives up to the name Atsushi.
Mochi's eyes widen. You were being modest. You did all this for me?
He scratches his head and he says, "It was no big deal. True scholars can go days without sleep in the pursuit of knowledge."
Oh,
This little eye twitch.
Yeah.
As the founder of the magical college, I rule that you go take a nap right now.
Will do. We're all doing our part in the fight against evil, right? I'm merely fighting in my own way. So,
Well, thank you. This is a very important way that most people don't notice.
glad I could be of assistance. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to go sleep for 16 hours straight. Oh, actually, one last thing. I may have mentioned this to you, but I wanted to try reverse engineering those sending stones that I gave you a while back. If you let us hold on to them for a while, we might be able to craft more of them. It would be a huge boon to the communications of the Juno Senshi, but only if your party is comfortable going without them for a little while. You won't be able to communicate with Daimyo Hachi. Talk it over with your allies and let me know what you decide.
Okay, will do.
Preferably sooner than later.
Well, I don't know where they are, but I'm gonna try my hardest.
I'll
That
just
one ran off without me.
I will rule, you know what, retcon slightly. I think 𝒀𝒂 was holding on to one of the stones. I'll rule that you grab the one from Hachi on the way out, just so you can quickly powwow right now. So, you are free to discuss. This kind of meant to happen at a different time, so to speak, but you guys can chat right now. Kenso, you're still jogging your way over to the Adventurers Guild. We'll cut to you for just a second. Similar to Mochi, you take a similar route through town, although you have farther to go. So you actually pass the Magic College and you see the thugs parked outside. But people start cheering you on as you run through. It's Katana no Kage! Oh, wait, he is doing something after all! Is this his important mission that Miss Mochi told us about? Kenso! Show me your sword!
What? Just look at them.
Kenso, come back! He's probably heading to the Adventurers Guild. Oh man, I should join. No, you shouldn't. You suck.
I come back. Yeah, you should.
I'm gonna go join right now. So you are on your way over. Zoom back to Mochi. Or rather, no. Let's zoom to 𝒀𝒂. 𝒀𝒂, you make it to the docks. Technically, you should have made it a long time ago, but we'll say you got distracted by something. What was 𝒀𝒂 distracted by on her way to meet Yoroi? Stopping to get a makeover to make sure she looks good.
I made. Oh, yeah. Maybe she had to go get a new outfit or something. I don't know.
Sure. As you are on your way to meet with Yoroi, I guess. Who's actually holding the stone? I said it was 𝒀𝒂, but you guys are in separate places. Who wants to hold the stone and talk to Mochi?
You can do it, Tenso.
All right.
Oh,
Makes
boy.
more sense. 𝒀𝒂's on her own right now. Fish out of water. Kenso, as you're running to the Adventurers Guild. Boot. 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 Boop. Yeah. just by willing it to do what it needs to do, it starts to glow. This little sort of round, egg-shaped stone, kind of flat, with some like runes and stuff on it, kind of glows dull blue, and you hear Mochi's voice come through the other side. Mochi?
Kenso?
Yep.
Hey, I've kind of got a big ask.
Yep.
The sending stone that you're holding right now,
Yes.
is there any way that we could lend them to the magical school? If they hold on to them for a while, they can study them further and improve on them and make more. But then we can't communicate with Hachi on the road.
I mean, I don't care. We got a lot of cool people here that can protect the city while we're gone. But you're gonna have to talk to Hachi about that one. Probably should bring him something before you ask.
Well, he's already getting a good buzz going.
Maybe something from Zangetsu.
That's not a bad idea. I wouldn't mind stopping by Zangetsu anyway and getting a little sushi. Okay. I'll be on it. I'll have to get yours though too.
All right, I
We'll
have
figure
to
it out.
go to the guild so I can meet you at Zangetsu.
Sounds like a plan.
All right,
Rock
go
on.
away. I don't think he's ever actually used
Operated it, no.
Yeah, everyone else has.
He yells at it while someone else is holding it.
Yeah.
That's true. All right, back in Mochi's neck of the woods, Atsushi looks at you. He overheard, and he says, "Right. Well, once you find out for sure, you can just leave it with Hachi before you leave, and he'll get it to me whenever he can.
What if he sobers up and changes his mind though?
Give it to me before he does."
Okay, I'll figure it out. But you know what? I think you're strong enough to pry it out of his hands. His drunk, clammy hands.
I mean, if you leave the other sending stone with him, he doesn't have a choice. What's he gonna do with two?
Oh yeah, who's he gonna talk to?
Himself? Probably.
Not us.
Yeah.
And that's why you are the smart one.
I try. Anyway, to bed. And he heads to his quarters that he has here. You're left alone in this room with Jiro, who is just kind of smiling at the whole exchange. Jiro says, "So you'll be heading out today then? I wish you good luck."
Thank you, Jiro. How have you been doing over here? Have you been up to anything, discovering anything new?
He says, "Actually, I'm glad you asked. Before you go, there was something that I wanted to tell you. Something interesting that came up in my research."
Mhm.
They say, I've been poring through historic documents that we could collect, and I found something interesting in regards to the Kodai people from long ago. The very people who built the ruins that we ventured into together, and who created the ancient teleportation circles throughout this land. You recall mentions of the Kodai, some ancient clan of magicians, spell weavers. Jiro says, "As you may recall, we were only able to enter the ruins through the talking door because I myself possess some Kodai blood. As it turns out, the Kodai had many branch families. Throughout history, Kodai blood has been diluted through these branches. I doubt anyone exists today who is truly 100% of Kodai origin. Well, anyways, it turns out that the shrine we entered belonged to a branch family of the Kodai that was banished from the main house thousands of years ago. This branch was excommunicated from the main family due to their involvement with certain experiments. The spider-like monster we fought was a result of such experiments. Apparently they even dabbled in horrible acts of cruelty, human experimentation and the like. Anyway, there's not much more I've managed to uncover than that. I'm just glad to have learned that I'm not a direct descendant of the branch that did such horrible things." They say, "But there was one more thing that I managed to uncover, actually. Do you remember the substance we found in those ruins? Something called residuum?"
Yes.
You recall that there was a jar of this sparkling lavender-colored dust They kind of sparkled and glittered of various shades of purple and blue. You recall that residuum can be used as a material component for any spell. Jiro says, all I know is that residuum is created by the destruction of magic items. Casting a powerful Dispel Magic incantation is sufficient to producing residuum, but this method proves inefficient. Much of the magical potential is lost when a magic item is destroyed in this way. However, I uncovered a legend that tells of a place hidden somewhere in this land, a place where magic items were regularly recycled in a great facility, where residuum could be processed with perfect efficiency. Some legends also say that this facility was capable of the reverse as well, using residuum to create new magic items. These are merely legends, of course, but I encourage you to investigate them thoroughly. They may help us in our fight against the forces of evil.
That would be huge. You guys
Change
could
the
do
plans,
so
guys.
much with that. What?
Change of plans.
Anyway, I bid thee farewell and safe travels.
Thank you so much for this information, Jiro. Much appreciated.
But of course. Do you require assistance with these supplies? They gesture to the crate full of scrolls.
Oh. Mayhaps.
I'm not as good as Toma is at the heavy lifting, but I'm sure we could handle it. Jiro helps you when you both kind of work together to, like, you're moving furniture. It's not that big of a crate, maybe 2.5 feet in every dimension, but full of stuff, pretty unwieldy. But you guys managed to get it out toward the litter, and then the attendants who transported you here very quickly take it off your hands and load it into the litter with you. And Jiro bows, bids you farewell, and you are free to head to your next destination.
I'm taking all those scrolls with me?
Mm-hmm. Big crate full of magic knowledge.
I gotta drag this big old crate with me.
Jiro
You got
says,
like 8 dudes with the litter, right?
yeah.
Have them do it.
Mm-hmm. They load it into the litter with you, and then once you get back to the castle, they'll be happy to load it into your cart.
Just bring them with us.
8 hirelings.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Right on. Alright, we're gonna whisk away from Mochi now. Are you heading to Zangetsu Sushi Shop and Inn?
Yes.
Very good. You're on your way there. We're gonna whisk on over to Kenso.